So I recently found myself in kind of, I guess, an awkward situation that really made me think a lot. And I mean a lot. And I mean a lot. Like a lot of panic, a lot of questions, a lot of just, yeah. And I think everyone's starting to go through that. So recently I found myself at an airport. And not working at one, but actually finally flying for once. And it really got me thinking about change. And how much we deal with change. Because as I was sitting there and I was watching planes coming and going and people just walking around me and just so much more, I had this euphoric moment where I was excited about what was coming, about the change that was coming. But at the same time, I was overcome with fear. Fear that what was changing wasn't something that I was ready for. And I know a lot of us actually deal with this. We deal with these moments where we're not ready for the change that's coming. But over the past month that I've been dealing with this change, I have really found something that I wasn't expecting. Something that I had forgotten. And it reminded me of something wonderful. And that's, it's okay to deal with change. And it's okay to be uncomfortable with it. But change needs to happen. So as I was sitting there and I was watching planes taking off and going, I was sitting there thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I here in this moment instead of dealing with where I was comfortable with? I was so scared in that moment to be going and doing what I was doing that I almost shut down and I almost backed out because I wasn't ready for it. And it's that moment that I recognized that I realized that it wasn't that I wasn't ready. It wasn't the fact that I couldn't go through with the change. It's the fact that I was so ready for that change that I was scared of getting out of what I knew. The daily 9 to 5, show up to work, do my job, go home. And in that moment, I felt relief that I was finally allowing myself to do something new, to get that experience under my belt. And yes, it's gonna take a toll on things, and yes, I'm worried about a lot of other things coming from it. But at the same time, I sat there thinking about you guys, and how all of you have experienced change. And I want you to know that it's okay. Change is okay, and it's okay to be uncomfortable outside of your comfort zone. But you also need to recognize and understand that you have to become comfortable with uncomfortability. Because if you don't, you're only going to make your life worse. And I mean really worse. So as I was saying, oh my god, I love coffee. Anywho. That was terrible. But change is something that we all deal with and or need to deal with. There's so much that happens within our lives that if we just remain complacent, we remain stuck where we're at, we're never actually going to advance anywhere. And right now, you could be dealing with change within your own life. Now, granted, change isn't just, oh, this big thing happened in my life, I need to change my hairstyle, I need to go do this, I need to go do that, tattoos, change my clothes, or anything like that. That's not change. Granted, that's change in a minute aspect, but I'm talking on the bigger spectrum. change can alter everything about your life. And yes, it's scary, but it's okay. You can and will deal with change throughout your life, but what you shouldn't do is run away from it. Remaining stagnant in your comfort zone isn't going to help you. It's not going to help you grow. It's not going to help you prosper. It's not going to help anything other than you remain in that teeny tiny little comfort zone where you think you're progressing. But in all reality, you're not. If you want that better job, you have to go through the change of dealing with it. If you want, a better body, you got to go through the change of dealing with it. You got to push yourself. You got to go do things. You got to make yourself uncomfortable to experience that comfort. Which sounds weird and oxymoron and like I'm just talking out my ass. But look at how many people have changed their lives for the better. Look at how many people pushed themselves through the strife, through the change and everything else, and came out on top. Who knows? There could be someone in your life right here, right now, that went through that change and is now suddenly 10 times better than they were back before the change. So really think about that for a moment and honestly sit back and ask themselves what they did to better themselves and how they dealt with the strife of change. Because no matter what, you're going to be uncomfortable. You will feel like you're out of your own skin or you're not who you are or anything like that because you're outside of the normal life that you were living. And that's okay. Just remember that when dealing with change, you honestly have 3 steps that you can do. Recognize the change, figure out how you're going to deal with the change, and where you want that change to take you. Once you get those 3 things figured out, all you got to do is chase after it and push yourself to the point of breaking. Because once you reach that breaking point, you find out the threshold of where your change ability sits. And you find out how much further you can keep going once you're able to rebuild a new threshold above that. So instead of just sitting here listening to me ramble about how to change, and yes, I will continue this series of dealing with change, but really sit back and write down. I mean, seriously, it's not a joke. My journal is right here. Everything dealing with the change that I'm dealing with is right here. I notate it every freaking day to make sure that I'm staying on point with my goals, that I'm continuing to move forward, and that everything I'm dealing with is documented. So if I start to slip again to where I used to be comfortable, here is proof of what I did and how to keep moving forward. So I'd honestly suggest to you, go get yourself a book. It doesn't have to be something fancy, but get yourself something to document your time through change, because that'll better yourself more than anything. But anywho, test a few things out, recognize your change, do a step process, and chase after it, and you can achieve anything. But it's whether or not you're willing to put in the braces. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell, because there's gonna be more coming, and I'm excited to deal with my change, and how the change is going to affect me, and my journey as a YouTuber. And put down in the comments something that you're dealing with. Something that you're dealing with when it comes to change. I'd like to hear. And I'd like to hear how you guys are moving forward and progressing with your change. I'm not ready to create the 2023 opener. It's not okay.